And we're live. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. For those who've joined early, I'm going to go ahead and wait 1 to 2 minutes to make sure everybody has a chance to get on. Before we start, could you please put in the chat where you're calling in from? It's always really fun to see, how global our organization is. We do have employees in 23 countries and 5 continents, so it's very, very fun to watch where people are coming from. Or this could be a super quiet group. Hey, there it is. Sheffield, UK. Thank you. Thanks, Kay. Mississippi, London. Awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth and Andreas. Vermont, Providence. Excellent. Boston. That's where I am located today. All right, South Carolina. Love it. Okie dokie. I'm going to go ahead and get started and jump in here. I am Jenny Mobius, SVP at Skedda, and also have a podcast called called The Heroes of Modern Work. You can check that out on the Skedda website if you are interested for more information that we're going to talk about here from our thought leaders. And I'm joined by Patrick Cassidy, our fabulous customer onboarding manager, who's going to take you through the product portion of this webinar.
How you doing, folks?
Awesome. So welcome customers, prospective customers and partners to our 4th edition, can't believe it, Patrick, of Patrick's Product Picks, where we take deep dives into specific functionality of the Skedda space management platform. Quickly worth mentioning that the first 3 sessions were focused on Skedda space attributes, making it easy for anyone to quickly locate and book the right space with the right resources. Our powerful rules and role engine, which allow for customized booking conditions for various users and spaces, and our deep utilization insights that drive cost savings and improve the workplace experience. Make sure to check those out at skedda.com/events to catch them on demand. While we will cover all of those features today as well, for the first time, we are focusing on its application for higher education, or as I like to call it, Skedda for higher edda. And I know my whole team is officially cringing right now, but I had to say it. So fun marketing puns aside, today you'll learn how universities across the globe are modernizing space management across their campuses with Skedda. So very quick housekeeping reminders. We have a Q&A. If you have a question, please put it in the Q&A and not in the chat. We will be answering questions at the end of the webinar. And if we do not get to yours, we will certainly email you. This is being recorded, and you can catch this on demand at any time after today. We'll also be sharing some polls, so please answer those if you have time. And without further ado, I'm going to jump in. Alrighty. So before Patrick jumps in, I'd like to take just about 3 minutes to acknowledge the real world challenges you all are facing today. With enrollment down and predicted to decline 15%, major budget cuts underway, facilities, operations, and administrators are all being very strategic and creative about how to fulfill their campus space needs. There's an opportunity here for all of our unsung heroes, and yes, I'm talking about you, facilities, operations, and administrators, to take your seat at the table and tackle challenges like overassigned and underutilized space, which seemingly creates this perception that there are more faculty than space, but with little data to back that up. That leads to fragmented systems, lack of flexibility and transparency, and really unnecessary costs. I recently attended the University Facilities event here in Boston a couple months ago, and I continued to hear the build-in versus build-out debates all over the show floor. Most were frustrated with having little space or funds to build out, so the focus was really on how to best build in to maximize and modernize existing space versus physically expand the campus footprint. So how to do that? No surprises here. 77% are likely to create more flexible administrative workspace and 60% more flexible faculty workspace. And when we say flexible, we really mean shareable. The bottom line here is to accomplish campus space goals, you are all finding better technology to build in and make sharing space and resources easy. Top initiatives include tracking space utilization and occupancy, more transparency on who's using space and resources, and boosting connectivity and communication regarding space. So, to wrap up here, as you continue to modernize your space, make sure your software evolves with you. In 2025, we're watching you free up your time and campuses free up their space by evolving from central admin booking to faculty self-service booking, from hidden utilization data to transparent dashboards and interactive maps, from confusing access rules to automated tag-based permissions for spaces and resources like lab equipment. And now, what you've all been waiting for, I'm going to pass this off to Patrick to share specifically how Skedda makes all of this possible and easy for you. Thank you, and take it away, Patrick.
Lovely. Thanks very much, Jenny. Thanks for setting the scene. I see some comments in the chat already about faculty offices and classrooms. I'm going to touch upon both of those, but as I go on, if questions arise that you feel I don't answer, just keep a note of them. We will have a Q&A at the end. Okay, so yeah, as Jenny said, we're kind of focusing more on universities today, and typically this isn't the sort of map I've shown in the past, and this is just a sort of a flavor of the kind of specialized maps that we can make. Whatever it is that you're managing on your university campus, anything from sports facilities to labs to offices, our backend settings can help you to manage them. And so I'm going to begin with like a faculty specific version. So as we know, in a university, there can be all kinds of levels of users within a university. There can be the faculty, there can be administrative staff, teachers or lecturers, there can then be students. So all kinds of different layers of people who should be able to access different maps, and then within different maps, different spaces. So in this scenario, if I'm a member of the faculty, it's very straightforward for me to come in and book either a desk or a meeting room. So when I log in and I'm on this particular map, I can choose the date, and then anything that has initials on it, or sometimes a picture, is somebody who has booked at that particular time. Anything that is available to book is green, and anything that is gray is unavailable for me to book. I'll show you a back-end rule of why this exists in a moment. But essentially, I'm a member of the faculty, but I'm within a specific department. And so I'm not allowed to book these desks. So you can segment areas into neighborhoods and departments. Often people will use coloring to do this, or sometimes they'll leave it like this, and it'll only be for 2 days a week or so that my team couldn't book these. To book a desk, though, I can simply select a desk. It will auto-populate to 9 to 5 if you wanted to do so. There's this all-day button here that you can set up in the back end. If you'd prefer that isn't ticked, it will just show as the time that the person clicks on it. But typically, people enable this as people largely book for full day when it's desks. But if they want to default to a different time, they could come in here, select a shorter time. However, by using this, it's 3 clicks, and then I'm booked. I have the desk. Meeting rooms would operate slightly differently. I would click on this desk. I can see that there's a booking in here from 10:15 to 10:30. So I can just move to 11 to 12. And then here, there's a couple of different aspects. It's going to be a synced event. So you can sync this with an Outlook calendar. So you can also do this with desks, but it's typically more done with meetings, meeting rooms. I can then add additional attendees, allow them to invite others if they want, and add a video conferencing link. So a Microsoft Teams link would be included in that invite. And then once this booking is confirmed, I'll immediately receive an email, and it will go into my calendar and the calendars of anybody who I've invited. So that's the kind of typical faculty setup. And then the granularity of who you want to be able to book where can be controlled in the back end. So in the settings over here on the left-hand side, if I go down to a place called conditions, I can see that for those particular desks that I was showing as gray, you can only book those if you're in the operations team. Now, if I go up to the users list, this is the user that I'm logged in as. and I'm in the HR team, not the operations team, so I don't have access. That's why that was appearing as gray. And tags will operate whether we're talking about a faculty situation, we're talking about classrooms, we're talking about admin staff or students. This is what will create all of the rules in the back end to organize access and control within your site. If I click on manage tags, in here, I have a full comprehensive list of all of the tags that have currently been created. I can just add a new one here, and then, so let me just add this for now. And then it's as simple as adding this, and then I could just click on the user who should receive that particular tag, and then they would have that tag. If you use Azure or Google, things like single sign-on, we can pull this data in from your IDP. So long as your IDP contains relevant information like faculty, operations, whether someone is a student or not, and if they are a student, how granular you want it to be, we can really have as many rules and as many tags as you want to set up. And previously, this was a single point of entry. So when someone signed in for the very first time, we could pull that data. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to massively expand that capability. And on an ongoing basis, we will be able to refresh what appears in your IDP in Skedda. So if somebody was to move from HR to operations and you updated this in your IDP, it will then update in Skedda. So these rules, these tags are what kind of control all of the rules. So that's just worth noting. Whenever you want to create a rule or setting, the granularity of which you can make as specific as you want. Okay, I was a faculty member here, and as you can see, I can see all of these spaces. I'm allowed to book these. I'm not allowed to book these because I'm in the faculty team, but I'm not allowed to book those. There is a way where you can control completely what somebody sees. This is often useful in a university setting where you have faculty or teachers or people with like some sort of relationship with a student where they don't want them to see where they're sitting. So if I change the tags on this person that I'm logged in as, and I make this person a student, the rules will now apply to me differently when I refresh, and I won't see any spaces on this map at all. Anywhere that those bookings appear for the faculty or for teachers or something like this that you don't want students or other members of the team to see can be completely hidden. So there's a couple of different levels of control you can have on what people can book and how that appears, whether they can see the space at all, or if they can see the space so that they can see where their colleague is sitting, they're just not allowed to book it. Other types of resources, you can create other types of rules. So for example, if I'm a student and I'm coming in to click and book the stadium, you can have pictures and the description of what's included in here. And if I come in to book this, you'll see it will default to a specific amount of time. It's 2 hours. Now, if I try to change this and make it shorter than 2 hours, I'm going to get an error message. So if you have specific resources that you want to have a definite time frame on, you can create rules for that. And you can also ask for specific questions. You can create custom fields. So what sports club? So I could put in the soccer club, and then you'll receive this information. Whenever anybody makes a booking, it goes to the email, the owner of the account that's put in the backend settings, and you'll get that information if you require that. Car parks, a similar story, and this is just one type of map. You could have, if you're not all that interested in the actual layout of your car park, you can have them like this. You could give us the specific physical layout, or indeed you could have the building with like 2 or 3 car parks on the side. It's really, we'll kind of create it as you wish. Something that's often used in universities is equipment of some sort. Now, I have here pictures of lab equipment, but this can really be anything, any sort of resource or space that you control that people should have access to or not have access to. So if you're in a media department and there's editing suites, or if you're in a lab where there's specific laboratories that people should be able to get in or out of, or if you have specific resources that students can use, but they must first get training, you would set up a rule where they're not allowed to actually book this. So you can see, I can't actually book these. I'm not allowed. And there's two different ways you can do this. I'll just show you. So I clearly can't book any of these. It's gray. However, with this, I can see when it's available. Sometimes you might want students to see when it's available. They're just not allowed to book it. If I come in and attempt to make a booking, I won't be actually allowed to complete that booking. But if a student goes through a training course and gets the tag that they need, so let me just come back here to the backend settings. And if I go to the conditions, how this is controlled. So if we look at this radio, you're not allowed to book this unless you have a specific tag. In this case, it's this access equipment. So if I come back to my user again and I update their tag and I give them this specific tag of access radio, and then I pop back to see what the user sees, it's now available for me to book. So here I could click on this and I now have access to book this particular resource. Now, previously, you've always had to do it the way I just demonstrated. You have to manually go into the user list as an end user, update their tag, and then they have access. Like I said, in a couple of weeks when we have Skim and we will be actively updating with your IDP, the flow would be the student or whoever it is completes a training course or gets the access that they should have. You would update this in Google or Microsoft, and then that would update in Skedda in turn without you having to do anything. And then that student would be able to book in Skedda. And so you would just have to do that in one place, so long as that information is contained in your IDP. Okay, the next area, which I saw someone comment on earlier, was classrooms. So here I'm looking at this from the perspective of a student. It's often the case that you don't want the student to be able to book the classrooms. If I was tagged differently as a teacher, I could go in and book this, which I've demonstrated. It's essentially the exact same idea as the desks I showed above. However, often what you might want to do is put all of the semester's bookings in before the semester. Now you can do that manually one by one, but we can also bulk import those for you. I know in a lot of situations, a month before the semester begins, you may want to just import all of those. Now, if you have that stored in some other software that you use for that, you can export it, give it to us, and we can import that. Or if you just have that information in an Excel sheet or something, again, we can import that. From a student's perspective, if they need to know where they should be for their class, they can go to the list view, and under my bookings, they'll have all of the bookings that they have. This is the same for everybody. They can see what bookings they have coming up. But under all bookings, they can see all of the bookings that are coming up. But what's more useful is for them to click on space tags and then to click on classroom. And then here they will only see bookings associated with classrooms. And then here it's much easier to filter. And then, for example, I know if I'm in second year French, I'm in classroom 100 every Monday from 2 to 4. So from a student's perspective, they can come in and look at this. And if you've got a lot of spaces on there, creating these space tags allows you to just look granularly at specific things. Like you can just look at the equipment as well, for example. And I'll show you how in your reports, your backend utilization, it's very useful for that as well. Okay. When you have a situation where you might have a student hub like this with quite a lot of desks, or even more than this, you might have a library situation, or you might have an office, a place where students can go and you have dozens upon dozens of desks. You have the ability to set up a check-in rule if you want, and that can be determined based on the space. So maybe only desks should have a check-in rule. It can be determined on the tag that somebody has. So you can say only people with a specific tag should have to check in. So you might say this is only for faculty. However, if you do set up a check-in rule, you can then print out QR codes. You go to your spaces setting, you have the ability to come down here and generate QR codes. So if you wanted to do this for your desks, when somebody arrives in on the day, so if I go to print this out, so let me just click to print this, it'll open up a page like this. You can print these and then put them on the desks. So a student could walk in on the day, or any member of your team, and the QR codes would be directly on the desk. They could scan them, and it will show them what they have to check into. Alternatively, when you have lots and lots of spaces, and in universities, library areas, reading rooms, study areas, there can be quite a lot of condensed desks, and people just turn up and try to book a desk ad hoc right there and then. They can just scan that QR code and book directly that way. So that's often a useful thing to be able to do. Just print out these QR codes and put them on the desks. Okay, that's a lot of how you can kind of control the access for users. You'll use the tags to designate what department someone's in, whether they're student, whether they're teacher, whether they're in the faculty, and then using all sorts of rules that we have in the background. You can even determine how far into the future people can book. You again may have a tiered system here. Basically, what this is saying is if you're a member of the faculty, you can book for 90 days ahead. If you're a student, only for a month ahead. So you can give priority to certain people. With all that said, you then are probably going to want to look at your utilization data. So over here on the left-hand side, you can look at all of the utilization data across your entire venue, but then you can really granularly look at it. And that's where those space tags that I talked about before, where they become really useful. So if you're just interested in knowing, okay, I want to know about the faculty desks, how much are they getting used? And then within the faculty desks, there were desks that I couldn't book because it was only for operations. So I could then further subcheck this and search under operations and then see how much they're using this. This is useful to know are the spaces getting used for once, but also to kind of keep an eye on your rules as you go. If you're designating 10 spaces for a specific team or tagged group, and then you see that they're not using it as much as another group is, they're always at 100%, you can then tweak your rules and open up spaces for others. One final thing on this, because we updated this a little while ago, but it's always worth reiterating. When you come in here at first, it will default to the longest opening hours that you have. So in your hours of availability, it's more than likely in a university setting, you'll have different spaces, different resources that have different opening hours. So for example, your desks could be 9 to 5, but you might have a sports facility that should be from like 6 a.m. to midnight or something like this. Even if it is within a specific space, let's imagine you want to allow your desks to be used from 6 to 9, and you go in and you look at your utilization data. The utilization has dropped quite a bit now. So you would think, all right, it's not getting used as much as we want, but we can see there's a very clear core use of this from 9 to 5. So using these toggles at the top, I can remove the weekend, and then I can search explicitly for 9 to 5, and then I can see what the actual utilization is in the core time. And again, we'll see that will go up. And if I remove this tag, and we just look at everybody, we can see it goes up. So this is a powerful tool, being able to select and filter when you want to look for what specific spaces. Okay, I usually finish with the utilization data. So Jenny, I'll hand it back to you and we'll see if there's any questions.
Awesome. Yeah, no, great timing. We do have a few in here. I am going to start with Elizabeth. We use Schedule View now for our classrooms in our 2 buildings. It is not user friendly. Can a schedule from an Excel file be uploaded into this program? Right now, I have to manually add each class.
Yes, it can. Yeah, so we have like a CSV or an Excel that essentially you just have those bookings and we can pop them in. It's what a lot of people do. In fact, before the semester begins, they might have 10 classrooms, 9 to 5 every day full. We can just populate all that in. We do it. You don't have access to do that, but if you give us the file, we'll put them all in.
Awesome. I see a few questions that are about pricing. So Kevin, I'm going to connect with Leo, who's your account manager, to make sure that you get all of the discount information. And Elizabeth as well. I think you've been working with Yuri. So I'll just make sure that they reach out to you ASAP to answer those questions, because I know they're very unique, all of these situations. We're good with questions. So if anyone has any last minute questions to pop in, we'll get to them. And if you even put them in after the fact, we'll make sure to reach out. But if that is all, let me just double check. We do have some case studies I wanted to mention on our website. I'm going to pop the links in here, and we'll also email them to you in follow-up from the University of East London, as well as Columbia's Climate School and Cornell College, that I think would be really relevant for some of you in some of your unique use cases and how you can use Skedda. But other than that, I think we're all set. Thank you so much for joining. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any questions. Oh, actually, Juan just chimed in, Patrick. Is there a home screen that you could have if someone came in a space and wanted to see who was there?
You mean a view like this? Is this the kind of view? I'll give you a second. You can give.
Someone came in a space and wanted to see who was there. Maybe it's the interactive map as well.
Could be, yeah. So if I go back up here, for example, I can see when I look at the map, there's
Oh,
an
just like a list. Sorry, Patrick, not
Yeah,
to.
that's
Just
fine.
he says just like a list of people.
Yes, okay. Yes, so you can. So in this list view here, I can see, I'm looking at all the spaces currently. So for today, Thursday, I can see everybody who's in today.
There we go. All right, let me just share this in the chat real quick so everyone has access. So there's one case study, and here is the other. All righty. I'm going to check the Q&A one last time. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Real pleasure speaking with you today. There will be follow-up. You can watch this on demand. And I will definitely make sure, Elizabeth and Kevin, to get back to you after the fact. So thanks, everybody. And biggest thanks always to Patrick for taking us through the product and tailoring it to how higher ed is using it today. Have a great day.
Thanks, folks.